Now, like millions of others, Donald Simpson Bell from here in Harrogate answered the call of king and country to fight in the Great War. Donald was a professional footballer who was awarded the Victoria Cross for his exploits in the Battle of the Somme. This weekend, his life and death were celebrated in France, and Harry Gresham was there.
In a sports stadium in Albert in northern France, a unique football game is about to kick off. It's in honour of a Yorkshireman who swapped the football field for the battlefield and saved the lives of dozens of his comrades. Donald Simpson Bell was a Harrogate grammar school lad with a special talent. He could run like the wind. Over 100 yards, no one could touch him. His athletic prowess caught the eye of Bradford Park Avenue, then one of England's leading football teams.
Well, Park Avenue in those days, because it was in the First Division, were getting, I think, about 25,000 people watching him. So you know, he'd be in a big audience, you know, and it was a big occasion. Yeah.
So he was on the cusp of greatness?
Yes, he was. I mean, I think in one of those seasons when Bradford hit its high point, it finished about 8th in the First Division. So, it was up with all the big sides then, and so it was on the cusp of a very, very high professional career.
Donald was the first professional footballer to join up. In the summer of 1916, he married his sweetheart, Rhoda. Weeks later, he was at the front for the big push on the Somme. Now a second lieutenant in the Green Howards, his biggest test was about to unfold. The Battle of the Somme started on July the 1st. 4 days later, Donald and his men were brought forward to continue the attack. Their objective was an enemy stronghold called Horseshoe Trench and the fortified French village of Contalmaison. Richard, describe the scene to me, faced by Donald Bell 100 years ago.
Just think of the carnage which was going on. I mean, it was just appalling, really was. And Donald took it upon himself, on his own initiative, crawled along a communication trench with 2 others. He had his revolver in his left hand and threw a bomb with his right hand, his wrong hand, and managed to hit the gun. He shot the gunner, and after that the 3 of them went bombing down the trench and killed about 50 Germans. And because they were able to knock out the machine gun, it enabled the advance to continue.
Donald, though, was a reluctant hero. He wrote home,
"I was lucky enough to chuck a bomb on a machine gun, which was mowing our fellows down and putting it out of action. The CO is highly delighted. Talk about luck. Fancy just chucking one bomb, even if it was a bullseye."
He was a modest chap, but the truth was Donald's scorching pace meant he dodged the German bullets. His superiors recommended him for a military honour. 5 days later, the 25-year-old officer went over the top once more. The battle for Contalmaison was back on. Round about 4:50 in the afternoon, the men of the Green Howards had to negotiate about a mile of open countryside. About 500 yards from their destination, the Germans unleashed hell. 1,000 men attacked, 700 were wounded or lay dead, amongst them Donald Bell, killed as he stormed the last enemy machine gun as the village fell. And this is where Donald Bell died. It's called Bell's Redoubt, and it's the exact spot where an artillery shell hit him. A wooden cross was originally erected here. Well, this is how it looks today, in commemoration of an amazing hero. Donald never knew how much of a hero he'd become. News of his Victoria Cross came just days after his death. On a glorious autumn day, the Somme looks untouched, but these fields still have a deadly legacy. Guillaume Savary farms less than a mile from where Donald lost his life. Even today, he's still finding armaments from the Great War.
In this area, we found lots of objects like this, shells and fragments of shells which were left on the ground. There are loads of them in this area.
I wonder, when you think about the sacrifice made by young men, what are your thoughts about that?
C'est beaucoup de jeunes qui sont décédés ici dans.
Many young
sur le
men died
secteur.
in this sector. They were young and had their whole lives ahead of them.
La vie devant eux.
They died here
Ils
fighting
sont
for
morts
our
ici au Congo,
country,
pour
for
notre
your
pays,
country.
pour votre pays.
With 1 million casualties on all sides during the Battle of the Somme, individuals are often overlooked, but not last weekend when Donald's life was celebrated.
It is a place of pilgrimage, as we have said, so here we will remember them.
It's a moving moment. Football, military, family. And the head boy and girl from Harrogate Grammar School, all paying their respects.
He will never be forgotten. He was an English hero. It's a way of remembering all the other thousands of poor boys who died here.
This is his last letter. This was written 3 days before he was killed. And at the end of the letter, don't worry about me. I believe that God is looking over me, and it rests with him whether I pull through or not.
Yeah.
And I just feel every time I read that, it affects me.
He didn't want to be a war hero, he wanted to be a great footballer. And he would have been, but instead he used all those skills, not thinking of anybody else, totally selfless, and came here and did what he did and saved hundreds of lives.
Donald's bravery and his great athleticism helped him win the VC. So it's fitting that football should play a part in these centenary celebrations.
We've got 100 years of history here, and we need to do justice to it because there are a lot of people that come across here and scrapped on our behalf 100 years ago.
These lads are from the Yorkshire Regiment and Bradford Park Avenue. In a nice touch, they're wearing the same team colours Donald wore more than 100 years ago. Watching the game, I'm struck by what Donald could have achieved on the sporting field if the war hadn't taken him.
Any man who wanted to take the battle to the opposition, as he did, of course, in his role as a soldier, and any man, bearing in mind we're talking early 1900s here, who played football in the northeast at Newcastle, in the south at Crystal Palace, and with us at Bradford Park Avenue in Yorkshire, must have been an adventurer. And I think he would have been a physical, battling competitor, the sort of man you'd want on your side.
I'm sure he would have loved the result. 3-2 to the lads from Yorkshire. Back on the Somme, Donald's grave is beautifully looked after at the Commonwealth War Graves Commission Cemetery at Gordon Dump. He's a hero who hasn't been forgotten, either in his hometown of Harrogate or in this foreign field so far from home.
Harry joins us now after a memorable weekend.
Harry, how important was this for the family?
I think it was very significant. Obviously, the 100th celebration is special in itself, and you ask yourself, what is next after 100? I think for the Bell family, they felt that this was one of their final offerings, really, in a long journey. 28 members of the family came over. They came from as far wide as New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, and of course the UK. And one of the members was a very high-ranking military official. And when the last post was played at the service on the Saturday, there was a tear in his eye, and he's a tough cookie.
And which moment was the most significant?
I think two for me. I thought Bradford Park Avenue's involvement was very, very special, and the football match was a lot of fun. It wasn't taken, well, it was taken seriously, but it wasn't that important. But I also got a lot out of Harrogate Grammar School. I talked to the headmaster, and he said that Donald Bell sums up really what the basis of their school is all about: courage, sacrifice, teamwork. And they were well and truly represented by the head boy and head girl as well. So it was a very, very significant tribute from the school.
And viewers tonight can see more on Inside Out.
Absolutely. Inside Out, in about half an hour's time, they'll get a longer version of that. And I just hope that they can see what the weekend was all about. This guy was a hero, a real hero.
Okay, Harry.
Brings it home, doesn't it? The sacrifices that people made. Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you.
Okay.